Hi, I'm Alyssa Mayer, and welcome to Meme Fact Monday! So this week's topic for the Meme Fact Monday is going to be WDC committees, because I know that's important, and a lot of new members might be a bit confused, and it's kind of hard to get in on the lingo and all the business that's going on, so I hope this video can help enlighten a lot of people, as well as lighten me, because there's a lot of hats. So, first off, the first committee is the NOMS committee. This is a separate committee. There is a KK side committee established, as well as a TBS side. And what they are going to do is they're going to review all the officer packets that were submitted for each organization, as well as pull in the specific candidates for interviews to be able to ask them questions, learn about their platform, and pretty much look over everything that has to do with the election. And through all of that work, they're going to create a slate, which is essentially a recommendation of how they think the officers should be placed. So let's say that you serve for a service chair for 2 years and you want to apply for president. So you created a president packet and you submitted it and you ran in and you're like, I want to apply for president. And then you don't answer the questions very well and they're like, I'm not sure if this guy's really suited for president, but I do think this person would be an incredible Mal or VPSP. Well, the NOMS committee could then slate you for Mal or VPSP and say, based on recommendations, we believe this candidate is fully qualified to be Mal or VPSP, and that is what we recommend to them. And that is something that the candidate who's running could accept, or they could also just decline to be in that sort of position. That's something that'll probably be asked of them when they go to NOMS committee. So that is something that happens there. So NOMS is essentially a lot of deciding where they think people should lie, and doing a lot of that review process so that a lot of the actives can focus on other things. Okay, the next committee is jurisdiction. This is a joint and a separate committee in that they meet jointly together with KKSI and TBS to review our joint district constitution and review it for constitutional changes. So if they want to change the job descriptions of the district officers, that's something they can do there. If they want to change something about the state days rotation, I don't know whether they would, but they could. Theoretically, that's where people sort of submit those little changes that they want to see on the district level. Like, I don't know, people want to say, throw in penny wars in the Constitution. That is also something that can sort of happen. And they review those documents. The documents for the constitutions are on the website if you would like to review those and look at them. And so that's the joint portion. And then they break out into separates, where the KKSI jurisdiction committee will meet and the TBS jurisdiction committee will meet, and they will each review their separate constitutions for any changes and be able to update those as well. And so they'll just submit amendments, and they'll be the ones who will discuss it, talk about it, and vote on, yes, this is something we think we should include, or no, this is not something we think we shouldn't include. And then the last day of WDC, those committees will present to the entire district of, here's what jurisdiction committee recommends, and then the delegates, all of the chapters that are present, will then be able to vote on if the entire body of the district decides if they're going to go through. So it's pretty much, they'll have constitutional amendments that they want to recommend, and the jurisdiction committee will come with those on Sunday and be like, hey chapters, here's what jurisdiction committee said, and then they'll present it so everyone in the district gets to know and understand what was talked about, and then they get to decide to vote them through or not vote them through. So that's a lot of what jurisdiction committee does. So it's a lot of paperwork, it's a lot of reading, but it's super involved and fun, and something that a lot of parliamentarians should look at, and it is very helpful for people who are serving that sort of capacity. So the next one is convention site. This is a committee that is joint, and it will have KKSI and TBS people who will talk about the selection for who's going to be hosting events. So it primarily is going to be over the new process for WDC selection, which was passed last year at the last WDC, and the advisors, being the governors and the counselors, have had a lot to work with and figuring out how that process goes, and they sort of want to present all of their findings to the students and see if they could detail the plan a bit more about how they're going to be selected. And it's something that they're pretty much going to evaluate that, and so it's going to be very driven by the governors and the counselors to be able to decide how that's going to go. The next committee is the Student Advisory Committee, which will talk about important issues in our district, the ones that we as district officers have kind of had questions about and concerns, and ones that we kind of want solicit feedback on. So it'll have all the chapters from KSI and TBS being able to talk about real big picture issues that we can't really come up with a full solution to. that we want to have the students talk about and come up with solutions to, and just help out the district. Like, these are real big picture things, like, should we have a service project at DLC in the future? Like, that is something that has been a question I know in the past few years, both on the KKSI side, the TBS side, and something that we've talked about a lot. And that is something that we would possibly recommend to the Student Advisory Committee, just to sort of, like, that's not something we think the 8 of us can sort of decide, nor is it easy to, and we would like to be able to have people to give that feedback and be able to come up with the solutions to these sort of bigger issues that can't just be decided by us. So that's a really fun committee. You'll get to talk with a lot of people and absolutely love it. The next two committees are just KKSI only committees. So those ones were all the ones that were PBS, and now the two KKSI ones we have a Ways and Means committee, which will talk about finances and fundraising, and it's something that CC is going to take under her wing a lot and be able to talk with people and make the district a bit more aware of what the budget is, because in the past, a lot of people aren't really sure where the finances go all too much, and so she wants to be able to bring this committee back and be able to talk about those finances and have the district be much more informed about where our money is going in the long run. And the last committee we have is the Virtual Performance Committee for KKSI, and it's essentially going to talk about how we plan rituals as our chapters and things of like, oh, how many rehearsals do you have? What kinds of ways do you do rehearsals? How do you do this particular thing within second degree or this thing in third degree? And it's preferred to be like an older member who's been a part of ritual committee and ritual stuff within your chapter. And it's going to be chaired by our National Vice President of Student Affairs, Zach Humphrey, who is going to be sitting on a committee at NatCon to be able to give recommendations of virtual performance and things of that nature. And so he wants to sort of solicit that feedback and sort of learn how things are performed in the West and sort of clarify some things if they're sort of needed. And so we would want a representative from each KKSI chapter to be able to speak with him and talk about those cool issues. So yeah, that's all of our committees. So to recap, we have NOMS committee, which will create a slate and decide who the district officers are going to be as a recommendation, which the chapters will be able to talk about later in the night when they caucus and be able to decide, yes, we agree with that, or no, we totally don't agree with that. And then it's pretty much just to help streamline that process. Then you have the jurisdiction committee, which will be able to have recommendations for how we're going to update the documents and be able to change things in writing for how the constitutions are run, including my job description, including state days, including what events go on, what master positions, publisher positions, that sort of thing. Then we have convention site, which is going to be evaluating the WDC selection process that the governors and counselors have been working on and be able to address those sorts of issues. Then next we have the Student Advisory Committee, which is going to be talking about a lot of issues that we as district officers want to be addressed in the district and be able to solicit that feedback. So then we have the Ways and Means Committee, which is just a KKSI committee, which is going to be talking about finances and sort of how the district goes, and it's something that we recommend a lot of fundraisers sit on. Treasurers, not fundraisers, what? How's it now? And lastly, we have the Virtual Performance Committee, which is going to be talking a lot about how virtual is performed, as the title sort of says, and be able to give a lot of feedback that'll go into NatCon at Orlando. And oh my gosh, I made it through all the hats. Okay, so that's all the committees at WDC. If you have any questions about them, be sure to ask me. Sorry, this one's going to be a bit longer, but I hope it has a lot of cool information. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your Monday, and I hope to see you all here in Idaho for WDC 2017.